Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Rise Urban Nation. It's your host, Terrell Simmons, in the building. And I got a special guest in the building. And I'm excited to really talk to this guest because we've been doing things around digital marketing, SEO, and you know, these SEO guys, they got all the tricks. Let me tell y'all, like us regular folks that don't know anything, I'm about to get all the business from him. And I'm not sure what we're going to get, but hopefully I ask the right questions. I'm going to tell them to make sure I ask the right questions that I don't know, that I should be knowing. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome Brenton Thomas to the episode. How are you today, good sir?
Hey, doing good. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Nah, no worries. Thanks for being here. Now, I see it's nice and sunny where you at. So where you joining us from?
Yeah, so I'm in Portland, Oregon. So I'm originally from the Bay Area.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm down in San Diego, so I'm gonna have to next time I take a trip up to Portland, I'm gonna make sure I connect with you and you show me the spots. There's some good eating spots in Portland, by the way. I didn't know y'all had such a good culinary scene.
There's a lot
what's
of
some spots you like?
Yeah, a lot of fusions. Yeah. They fuse all kind of things together. A lot of unique spots to eat out here.
Do you got any favorites?
There's a pizza joint. It's not fusion or nothing, but I like pizza over here. It's called Please Louise, pretty close to my house. And there's a ramen spot that I like quite a bit too. But lots of good food out here.
Put that on my calendar of places to visit while I'm in Portland. So I got a little bit of your bio, but for the people who are just tuning on right now, I always like to ask this question of our guests to tell me about yourself. And I don't mean like the resume interview type, tell me about yourself. Like, I want to know, who is Brenton Thomas? I know that's a deep and profound question, but you can go as far as wide as you want to go with that.
Okay. All right. So I'll start with kind of my childhood, and then I'll make it quick. I'll summarize it, but I'll kind of go pretty far back and then bring it into the future. So, so growing up, my whole thing and my parents' dream was for me to play in the NBA, right? So that was the main goal, right? So, as you can imagine, basketball parents, mom, dad, taking me out to Oakland, play ball, and you just San Jose, we driving everywhere for all the games, right? And and as time went on, I went to high school. I got my got like a redshirt walk on to ASU, played with James Harden for 1 year, and after that, transferred to Sonoma State. And at that point, I pretty much figured my NBA dreams were over, going from a D1 to a D2 college. And so then at that point, I'm trying to figure out, what do I want to do? What does life after basketball look like? Because this isn't going to go too much further. I don't want to play overseas. And so I started taking internships, and some of them internships were interesting, but I knew I wanted to do marketing. I was influenced by one of my friends' dads in high school, and so he had an advertising agency. I wanted to do advertising in college, but that wasn't possible. They didn't offer that, but they offered its cousin called marketing, and so I was able to get into marketing, and then that basically led me into my whole career.
Nice. Now, I'm glad that you shared that story, because something that me and him was talking about before we got on is like, because my background of doing workforce development programs for the mayor's office, and oftentimes you see us when we out there, like what I learned is a lot of kids can't be what they can't see, right? And luckily you had the fruition of like, this basketball thing ain't gonna go the way I hoped it to go. So let me see what plan B is. But I noticed some people have a hard time flipping the plan B. Like, do you notice that as well? Like, especially athletes, like when they put so much energy into it, like, and they don't have that plan B, they get in this level of stuck. Like, I don't know what to do now. Like, my whole identity was tied to this, and now that I don't do this, what else can I do? What other skills do I have? And they I guess they get stuck in this, like, trying to find themselves kind of ordeal. Do you see that happening sometimes with
all the time,
other people that you've met? So what was the process like for you?
Yeah, so I definitely think those internships, I think they definitely helped me. I've seen teammates that I played with in college, and then they kind of go overseas for a little bit. You don't make the greatest salary if you don't have a little bit of heat behind your name coming out of college. and then they kind of bounce around a couple of different countries, and they finally come back to the States, and they're 28 with or 29 years old without any real skills. And so you're basically starting from zero because you got to redefine that identity. And that's something I just didn't want to do. I'm going for this degree in college, and I wanted to utilize that degree and take that degree and get a corporate job. But corporate isn't perfect either. So that's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother subject.
Yeah.
Now, you've managed to make build a successful company, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm curious to know who were like. How did you get into entrepreneurship? Was it like your mom and dad? Like, do you who's your entrepreneurial idol if you had to name one?
Yeah. So my dad was he's an entrepreneur. He's been an entrepreneur for 30 years or so, and he's been working on the same project. But his journey in entrepreneurship actually discouraged me quite a bit. It was just tough on the family financially. So that actually kind of drove me away from entrepreneurship. And then I was kind of going through corporate, and I wasn't feeling very fulfilled in every single job. And I would leave jobs and basically get like a title increase. So I'm basically jumping jobs and raising my salary each time. And I stay at a job for maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years at the most, and I keep rising. But I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. And I didn't have the courage to just leave corporate. And so basically I had received this job that it was my dream job. I had turned 30 years old a couple of years ago. I was a director of marketing. It was exactly what I wanted. The pay was right on top of what I wanted. And so I took the job, and after about 2 months, they let me go. And so I said, well, let's go ahead and jump into my own thing. I spent about an hour calling some people, pissed off. I can't believe they did this to me. And then just got right into my own business. And that was a little over 2 years ago. And it's been a beautiful experience ever since.
So I'm thinking about that. Like, sometimes we're forced to jump into things. And I think, the pandemic has forced a lot of people like to reconfigure what does work look like, what does work life balance look like, what does me start my thing look like. Like when you think about that from your own jump, and then from certain climate of events, like how do you think current events of the world affect not only just your entrepreneurial journey, but for others who looking to go into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think outside of my own control or power, I think I was let go because of the pandemic, right? Like the company I'm working for, everyone misread how long the pandemic was going to go. Some companies acted as if this was going to go on for the next 10 years, right? Some of the decisions that were being made. And so I think a lot of companies like Peloton hired all these people, or like Imperfect Foods. They hired all these people. I know people personally who worked at these companies, hired all these people during the pandemic because times are great. And then shortly after, you got to lay off like 30% of your workforce. And so I think my company that I was working for, that I got my dream job, I think they are also a part of that same kind of situation where it just mismanaged and misforecast personnel. And so that led to me outside of my own power, leading right to my own business.
Nice. So let's talk about a little bit of business for a little bit, because I know people are probably foaming at the mouth like, all right, what is this business that he's talking about? Is it, did I pronounce this right? Twibi? Is it Twibi?
Yep. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right. So you had to tell me what's the thing behind the name, and then how did this wonderful brainchild develop and come to be?
Yeah. So it's an unusual name. And so being an SEO, one thing you want to do is own your own brand term, right? So my last name's Thomas. So if I said Thomas Marketing, and that's my business name, now I compete with all the other Thomas Marketings on Google. And so someone might be looking for me. They go to the first Thomas Marketing that shows up on Google, and they just go ahead and start working with them because they thought that was me through whatever means. And I don't want other companies taking my potential clients out of confusion. So I had to choose a name that was very unique. And so Twibi, Twibi, My name is Brenton Thomas, so BWT. And so basically, I put some I's in between BWT, and then it just, got the name Twibi.
I like that. Put some eyes in between there because he's like, I am him. Yes.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. What made you want to start a digital marketing agency? I'm assuming that it was mostly because from your past experience, but and you know, how's your agency different from any other agency out there?
Yeah, I want to start a digital marketing agency because I think there's something interesting about the psychology behind what we do, like all of us,
Hmm.
right? Like all of our
Hmm.
decisions, and then to then make that quantifiable through money that's generated. That basically is marketing, right? Trying to get into the psyche of someone and try to influence them to buy a certain product. So
Hmm.
that I found to be really interesting, which is why I wanted to get into my own agency. And then what was your second
Nice,
question?
man. So, uh, what makes you different from other agencies out there?
Yeah, so we're a smaller agency. It's me and four of the team members. So in the big scheme of agencies in the United States, we're definitely smaller. So as a result, we get to be more hands on, and so I tend to be very client facing. And I've
Mm,
spent 8 years, really working on my craft. And so I think one thing that makes us very different is how technical me and my team get, right? So like we're working on your conversion tracking, and we're tagging up super specific events, and then we're utilizing the machine learning to its highest level, and we're pulling all the levers to get the desired outcome you want. And I think a lot of digital marketing agencies, you can anyone can set up a Google Ads account or Facebook Ads account, but to know how to use the tools the right way, I think is paramount.
man, and I think that's very important because, as I told you, like we're just now getting into the understanding of that, right? There's so many different things you go to. You got the Google, you got the Facebook ads, you got the YouTube, you got the LinkedIn. Like, how do you how do you go through the process of knowing which track somebody should go, or maybe you should have all of them? I don't know. Like, how do you know which channel is right for your business? What's the process in learning that? Because that's a lot to manage. If you're a smaller business or even a mid-sized business without spending too much overhead, and if you want to focus on the right channels, that's going to give you the best return on your investment.
Yeah. So usually what I do is so I start with paid versus SEO, right? So
Hmm.
uh, SEO has its own side, and then paid has multiple channels. It could be TikTok ads, it could be Google ads, it could be Facebook ads, Instagram ads, etc. on the paid side. And so,
Hmm.
first step is decide, well, for whatever your goal is, how much time do you give us to reach that goal? Like when you're speaking to me and my agency, and if you say, I need the outcome to happen immediately, you have 1 to 2 months to make it happen. Well, paid ads is great for that. So we'll get into paid ads. If you said, I have a lot of time, and we can let this draw out for a longer amount of time, then I would definitely say SEO. It takes a while for you to build up your impressions, clicks, and conversions. And then
Hmm.
let's say most clients say, "Well, I need impact immediately, right? So I need it in 2 months or so. I need to see a increase in leads or revenue." So then we'll
Hmm.
look at basically, well, Facebook, Google ads, LinkedIn ads. Okay, well, what's your primary goal? And if you say
Hmm.
revenue, then we're going into like e-commerce revenue. Then we're going into Facebook ads. And if you say I need leads, then we'll probably go into Google ads.
Mm. I didn't know that the each functionality had a different breakdown. That's interesting. Um, wh- what's the benefit analysis? Like, say if somebody has time and they want to build it out properly, to get traffic to their website and things that their company does, uh, for like a long term play, like say you're like I'm thinking of like how you invest in stocks. What's the best investment for the long term play? To grow your business organically.
Yeah, definitely a blog. Yeah, blog is. I mean, once you resolve all your technical issues on your website, You basically just want to create lots of blog content, but it can be other forms of content. It could be video content. There's a lot of other forms you can do, like YouTube SEO, but lots of content, and then tons of backlinks. So you want to be featured on third-party websites.
Mm. Now, how does YouTube fit into that equation? Because I know YouTube. What did they say? Is YouTube like the second largest search engine? Is that correct? I might be wrong about that. I don't
Might be,
know. I know it's a large
maybe.
search engine. Like, how does that fit into the equation of when you if you decide to implement that into your SEO strategy? Should you like create the YouTube channel and implement it into your website? And how good of a tool is it as being an SEO to build, I don't know, organic traffic?
Yeah, so it helps in a lot of indirect ways. So like let's say you write a blog post, but then you also did a YouTube video about that same topic and you embed the video into the blog post on your actual page, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
hosted within YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Google's looking at to determine where you should rank is your session duration, how long someone stays on your page. And so if you have
Mm.
text and then you also have a video in there, I'm sure that video, I don't know how, usually for myself, I like to consume content through video. I don't like reading for the most part. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there's a lot of people who are like that. And so if you get
Nice.
someone onto your blog page and then they start to watch that video, you're probably going to watch a decent amount. It's definitely going to increase your session duration, and that will help your SEO.
Ooh, I like that. Now, I want to go back to, because you were talking a little bit, you mentioned in one of the strategies, pay per click versus content marketing. Uh, which would be most effective? Like let's take my business for example, Rise Urban Nation, a podcast. Which one would be more successful for my business?
Okay, so what are your main KPI, your primary key performance indicator?
Mm. So I would say listenership, like people who come to listen to the podcast. If I'm doing YouTube, it's like the YouTube subscribers and how long they stay on a video, right? To watch a video, a podcast video.
Okay, so I would definitely say inside of Google Ads, you buy your YouTube placements. So
Hmm.
the slots where the ad will go inside of YouTube, you buy it through Google Ads. And so I would definitely use Google Ads and run just video ads, which is basically YouTube, and um, and then run all types of marketing. So try to leverage the traffic that's already showed up to your website before we even start running ads. Try to leverage those people because they already know about your brand. And then Google will do this thing where it creates a similar audience. So Google will understand all the people that are on your website through tracking, right? So through like Google
Mm.
Analytics Pixel, it'll understand all the people that are there, and then it'll say, okay, well, I'm going to make a larger audience of people who are similar to that original group, and then you can use that to target them inside of Google Ads for YouTube ads.
Mm. So yeah, so that's interesting. So with the strategy will always depend on whatever KPI that person is trying to hit. I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming that is that correct?
Oh yeah, highly. Yeah, yeah. Like, and then
Uh,
we'll even take like the primary KPI. So let's say your main goal is more subscribers for your channel. We would
mhm,
we would tag up the event that lets us know every time a subscriber comes in, and then we'll take that
mhm,
event and then feed it back into Google Ads and say, now find me more of this type of person. And we don't optimize for anything else,
mm,
only subscribers. And I've seen a lot of digital marketers. They basically tell Google Ads, I want to optimize towards subscribers, try to give me some leads, also want some revenue, and also want this fourth thing, right? And then basically Google is just so at four things. But really what you want is to be the best at the most important thing to your business, so you don't divert
mm.
Google's attention when it's trying to find more of the same person.
Gotcha. So like if you put too many KPIs in there, it could. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Could hurt the algorithm or hurt the whatever it's pulling.
Yeah, it's just not as effective. It's trying to like give you what you want in like all four different avenues. And it's almost like a human being trying to be great at 4 different things, or you could be
Mm,
unbelievable at one. You put all your energy into one thing.
gotcha. Okay, I like that. Um, what are the keys to generating more revenue for like products with Google and Facebook ad campaigns? Like if you were to change the KPI, I don't want the audience. I'm like I got an audience. I want to sell products and services. Like what are those key the keys for generating more revenue if I decide to go that route?
Yeah. So definitely Facebook/Instagram. They come together in the same Facebook ads platform.
Mm,
And so usually I'll try to reach directly for the money. So that's in the form of a single ad that reaches all the way from top, middle, all the way down to the bottom of the funnel.
mhm,
And in that one ad, try to get you to purchase. And so, like I was saying before, optimize towards people who have purchased in the past, and try to get more people who are like the past purchasers to do more of the desired action. And
mm,
there's a lot of strategies around that, like really broad audiences, and let the algorithm work.
mm. Interesting. Uh, so technically, could you run to like? Could you just use one? I want to know why is Instagram and Facebook better at this for the paid campaign versus any other uh platform? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so let's say I'm selling um, soap. Okay, I'm trying to sell
Uh-huh.
soap, and so it's a physical thing in this, like, physical item in this world. And so
Uh-huh.
I now get on Facebook, I get the opportunity to show you an actual picture of the thing I'm trying to sell to you. And I think that helps drastically. Now, if we're talking about like Google
Mm,
search, there's not really like images. When you search in Google, you don't really get an image of
mm.
what that person's looking for. And so I think that has a big difference, to be able to see what you're about to buy.
Gotcha. Okay. And could you just like separate out your campaigns? Like, all right, I'm gonna use Instagram and Facebook specifically just to do this, and I'll use Google Ads specifically to do this for my business. Like, could you separate it out like that? Or
You could. Well, okay, so let's say your primary KPI is leads. And
Mhm.
so Facebook is not good at generating leads. So usually what I've done in the past is Google Ads is best at generating leads. So most of the budget goes towards Google Ads, but then you use
Mhm.
Facebook just to retarget people who have already shown interest. So you
Mm.
brought them in through Google, then they left your website, and then the Facebook pixel will pick them up, and then you can then retarget them inside of Facebook, the people who originally came from Google. If that makes sense. I know that's probably
Mm.
that's probably a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's why we hire you. That's why we hire the experts because I wouldn't know how to do all that. I don't want to learn how to do all that. I let the experts do it. But I'm curious to know. I just don't want to do it. It's too much work for me. Like for you, it's like for me, I'll be spending like 10 days trying to put one ad together. You get in there. You like bleep 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 bleep. All right, I got it for you. You good? All right, we're gonna see this in a couple weeks. Man, how do you spend like just 2 minutes doing that? I've been trying to figure this out for 2 months. Well, I mean, I know why because you've been doing this for 70+ years. But
Yeah. I've been doing this for so many times. There's very few things where it's like, oh wow, that's completely brand new. I've never seen how to set this up. So
uh-huh.
we have our process, and we just fall into our process and get it done pretty quickly. All the setup that I'm talking about, all the technical parts, it's pretty fast.
Like, I'm curious to know how this whole game is going to change once more eyeballs get into the metaverse. Is it y'all gonna have to learn a new strategy, or like is the marketing game going to be the same once the metaverse comes to play? And because that seems like what Mark Zuckerberg wants to do. So, like, if this metaverse gets as big as they say it's going to get, how's that going to change marketing?
Yeah, I think it'll have a profound effect. I think it'll be very different. I almost think it'll be like, so you know how, okay, so digital marketing
Mhm.
took budget away from traditional advertising, so like
Mhm.
TV,
Yeah.
billboards. uh, when you're at the mall, display casings with different ads, things like that. You take your budget and you start putting in digital marketing. Well, I think when you get back to the metaverse, I think it's almost going to revert back to that. So when you're walking through the virtual mall, someone can buy that ad space. Or when you're driving your car in the metaverse, I think there's a billboard. So we almost revert back to what it was before digital marketing when you're in the metaverse, which is my guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of weird to think about.
Yeah, that is weird to think about. I'm even thinking about like the old format of marketing now, like traditional marketing, newspaper, magazines, bus stops, all that stuff. Is is that dead now, or like is there still a place for that?
Yeah, I think there's a place for it. You just can't track how it's going. You just don't know if you're okay with taking your money and you spend it on something, but you don't know the direct effect of that, then I think that's probably okay. That I think that works for some people. Or your budget is so large, like let's take like PepsiCo. It's just so
Mm-hmm.
large that you've maxed out Facebook, you maxed out Google with millions of dollars,
Mm-hmm.
and then we still got $10 million left. Well, what do we do with it? Okay, we'll buy some billboards, some other things. So I think either really large or you don't care about the data tracking.
Yeah, but why not just like if I'm gonna go that route? Like if I'm thinking if I got that big budget, um, I might as well turn to influencer marketing. Then like
Mm-hmm.
making a little program and then put the rest of that money into like the influencer marketing economy. Like, all right, I know this person got good outcome, and I'll pay them a couple of dollars just to at product placement and all that stuff, and I can still maximize my results because I know what I'm getting from them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another route. Yeah, I think there's a lot of different routes. I think like PepsiCo is large enough to do the influencer marketing, to do the Facebook ads, the Google ads, and then still have money left over for all the traditional TV, all of it. But
I
I
guess,
would pick
yeah,
influencer marketing over traditional means. Like if your budget's getting so
yeah.
large and you're done paid ads, you're already doing SEO, then I'd get into influencer. But it's very labor intensive to identify the right influencers and connect with
Mhm,
them and send them out their free products. Did you get it? Why haven't you
mhm.
posted about it? It's been 2 weeks. It's just I've done that whole process, and I'm sure
Yeah.
there's probably easier way. There's probably like websites that'll help you kind of like monitor a little bit better. But to
Uh-huh.
do it without software, it's very labor intensive.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I props to those who do it, but I can't see myself doing it. Now, what nuanced digital marketing strategy adjustments need to be made when promoting high priced versus low priced e-commerce products?
Yeah. So for low price e-commerce products, so this is going to be inside of Facebook ads. And so there's a thing
Mhm,
called learning mode inside of Facebook. And so Facebook
mhm,
needs a certain number of times that people purchase before it says, okay, I understand who's going to purchase, like the right persona. And I've learned enough so that I can now reach out into the future and find more people like in the past. And so you need a certain
mm,
number of events to take place. And if you have a lower price product, you're going to reach those events, right? It's such a cheap product. Let's say it's $20. It's low commitment. You're just going to get a lot more purchases than a product that costs, let's say $2,000, right? The person has to really stop and think and say, do I really want this product for 2,000? That's a lot of money. And so when you have
mhm,
lower price items, you can definitely just tell Facebook, I want you to optimize for more people to make purchases, right? Because you got a
mhm,
lot of people who made a lot of purchases. But when you have a higher price item, you're not going to get a lot of purchases, but there's like proxies that lead up to the purchase. So maybe it's did you look at the pricing page, right? Okay, and then after the
mhm,
pricing page, did you look at did you add the item to checkout, something like that, right? Or did you add it to
mm,
cart? And so you really want to optimize for those areas, the add to cart and checkout. You want to optimize for a couple steps higher because you got to get the right
mhm.
number of actions taken, and you can use that as a proxy to eventually get purchases on a higher price item.
Nice. Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
So
I know that was a
now
lot.
you give me all this. I know. Nah, it's perfect for a bite sized nugget. Just to kind of understand it. And so I appreciate you sharing some of those thoughts of wisdom with us, because I know I had a lot of questions around it, and I know people who probably doing the SEO for the first time, that gives them an understanding. Not that any of us want to do it, but it helps us understand it. And now we probably, your line probably gonna be blown up like, hey, I appreciate you breaking that down. You obviously know what you're doing because you helped me do it, which is
Yeah,
what your company is all about. And I'm thankful that, especially that we got a brother now that we can just go to who knows our client base and knows the challenges and the behavioral patterns of our client base, especially if you're trying to reach people that look like us. I love that. I love to see somebody that looks like me supporting us through these different challenges. Um, I'm
yeah.
curious to know what is your biggest goal for this year?
Oh, let's see. So, this is going to be. I know it's a hot topic right now, but basically using AI to leverage SEO. We're cranking out tons of blog posts, and we're using lots of AI. We're using ChatGPT, the paid version,
Uh-huh.
and we're cranking out so much content. And when I look inside of Google Search Console, it basically gives you reporting on how your SEO is going. It looks amazing.
Mm,
And so if we can keep this
really?
up, me and my team, it's just, yeah, it's going to be good.
So
And
AI is really the business right now.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And we
Is
got a whole prompt that we
well,
use. Yeah, we got a prompt where we really break down before we have the AI write anything. We really describe to the AI who you are and how you're going to write, and then we start writing.
mm,
And yeah, you can
mm.
check out our website. We're doing like one blog post every day.
Wow. So man, this changes everything because I mean this is the hot topic of how AI is going to change how we do business. Pretty much, I think across the board, not just in your industry. But I'm curious to know, I see it's helping crank out more productivity, but like in the long run, what do you see happening in your industry? Because now there's this new tool that can help you just level up your game, be more efficient. Um, but you have to also be knowledgeable of how to work with the tool, right? Like if you don't have the skill set, the tool is worthless. But if you got the skill set along with the tool, you can elevate beyond belief. Like, so what do you see changing in the industry as AI becomes more of a thing?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think let's see. I think as time goes on, and you can see this inside of like the ad buying platforms like Google
Mm-hmm.
Ads and even Facebook, you can tell that they're trying to basically take away you having as the marketer having to pull different levers and like let's take Performance Max, right? So that's a new Google Ads campaign type, and it basically combines all these different Google channels. So like text
Mm-hmm.
ads, so like search ads, display ads. Those are third party ads on third
Mm-hmm.
party websites. Gmail ads. It just has a bunch of different uh, uh, types of Google placements, and it basically combines them all together and it uses machine learning to basically understand like where it should spend your budget at. And so I think that's going to become more and more relevant, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
machine learning, and then that bleeds like perfectly right into AI, and then that AI will basically just take away all your like you having to make decisions. But I think it will be important on the information that you feed into the AI. I think that's going to be very crucial because the AI doesn't have a sense or understanding of like real world, like what's happening in the world and what your business goals are, and you need to feed that information in. So I think that's going to be more
Mm-hmm.
important than ever. And then I
Mm-hmm.
think the prompts that you write for AI, that's going to become the next big thing. Like, you know what to say to AI to get the desired outcome out of it, as well as feed
Mm-hmm.
in outside world information into it. And I think that's going to be the future of it all.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Man, you got a ton of knowledge up there about marketing and coming in. It's like, now I know schools teach marketing and all that stuff, but I feel like some of the knowledge you got, that's beyond the school stuff. So, what books have helped you on your journey?
Oh man, I read a lot of blog posts. So
Okay.
I just can't get into reading. I just don't like. I just don't like reading.
So
Uh,
what kind of blog should a brother follow, or somebody who's interested in getting in this world? What type of blogs do you follow that you find helpful and that helps you maintain your level of success?
yeah. So these are like the big names. So Neil Patel. So he's
Okay.
SEO. So I watch all his
Okay.
YouTube videos, and it all comes back to like how you like to consume content. So for me, it's video. So I really enjoy that. And so I
Uh-huh.
spent, I want to say it was like 2 years, and it was like my education time late, right before I go to sleep, late at night. And so every
Mm-hmm.
night for 2 years straight, I just spent 30 minutes. I find a video on YouTube that I thought was interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and I just watch it like clockwork. It's part of my routine. And so that really
Mm.
helped with my knowledge.
I love that. If you could travel anywhere in the world and speak about, the amazing stuff that you do as an entrepreneur, where would it be?
Ooh. I'd probably say probably London.
London? All right.
Yeah.
I can see you out there in London. Why London?
Uh, well, we tend to work on the U.S. and yeah, European clients. So U.S. I
Ah,
rather go speak in Europe than out here. But I have
okay.
spoken in Brighton, which is near London.
Okay. How'd you enjoy that trip?
It was good.
London's on my to do list. I haven't got a chance to get out there yet, so I'm about to get some insights from you as well offline.
Yeah, it's popping off. I think out here after the pandemic, we haven't quite recovered. At least from the cities I've been
Mhm.
to on the West Coast, it hasn't quite recovered. San Diego's pretty nice though. Look like it's doing all right.
Yeah.
But you go over there and it's like pandemic never happened. It's popping
Oh
off.
wow.
Yeah.
Now I'm also thinking about how you made your transition, and another topic that I feel that's vibrant in the culture of entrepreneurship is hustle culture, right? Which I think hustle culture sometimes is derived in corporate structures as well too. But I'm gonna digress with that. But what is your view on hustle culture when it comes to entrepreneurship?
Well, I think it's best to prioritize what's most important in life. Like, so let's say you have kids, I think kids are
Hmm.
more important than work. So then maybe hustle culture is not right for you, right? You have people depending on you, and you can't put in 70 hours a week. So,
Hmm.
you know, I think that's not right for that type of person. For me, I don't have kids. And so I'm 33. I just turned 33. And so it's getting around that time where my wife
Nice.
and I are talking about kids. And I'm like, well, I got to
Uh-huh.
hustle as much as I can until some kids show up. So it's going to take a lot of time.
Kids are expensive too. Let me tell you, as somebody who got one, especially in California, maybe it might be more a little cost efficient in Portland, but not much more.
Well, that's why I moved from California. It's getting too expensive. So yeah, hopefully
Right.
that pays
Kids
off,
is right. What are the top three tips you would give to a new entrepreneur?
Oh, let's see. I say, be ready to work hard, right? So I say that's the first tip. Um, I say a second tip is get creative with it, right? Like any idea you have,
Uh,
figure out a way to make it happen, right? And like rapidly
uh,
test it, like the first two things didn't work out, then move right into the next thing, especially for like your lead generation. Like, so when
mhm,
you're running paid ads, you have to pay an agency. Maybe you don't pay an agency, but then you still got to spend a decent amount, and maybe you don't have a lot of money in the beginning, but there's a lot of
mhm,
free ways you can just drum up leads for yourself. Cold emails.
mm,
You can reach out on LinkedIn. You can scour LinkedIn for people looking for your types of services, which I've done that. So that'd be number 2. And then number 3, let's see, third tip. Let's see, what would the third one be? I'm trying to think of a third one.
Oh no, you tell me.
Let's see.
Move to Portland, save some money.
That's a life tip. That's outside business. Yeah. Let's see. And third one. I'd say. So early on for me, I found someone who lives in another country, and they do kind of my administrative work. And this person, relatively speaking, compared to the United States, is extremely cheap. And there's a lot of things that I wanted to do, but it would just take way too much time for me to do it. And so I found this person, and he's gotten to the point where he's actually doing some really advanced stuff, and he's a lot cheaper. So I would say, if find someone like that if you have maybe $300 a month to spend on someone like that.
Yes. So like that's a major key right there. I remember my virtual assistant who lives in Nigeria and does amazing stuff on for our administrative process and all the back end to this. And what's a good salary for her over there is well within my budget, and it would cost me like 4 or 5 times that if I was to try to outsource that here in the States. So I definitely and so like and what I pay her helps supports her and helps her have an abundant lifestyle, and it supports me tremendously for where I'm at in the stage of my business. So I love that you said that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Now,
and my
I'm
guy,
curious to know.
the guy I
Yeah, go
work
ahead.
with, he's always so I'll be like, hey, I got an advanced task for you. He's like, what, do I get a raise? And it's like, okay, well, you gotta do the task first. Let's see how that goes. And then he's really smart, he's really competent, and he does a great job. And it's like, well, you don't even have to ask for the raise. I like once you've been doing it for a certain amount of time, and I feel like you've gotten great at it, then you get the raise. So sometimes you got to slow down a little bit. The raise, it will show up. I promise.
Like he on top of it. He like, all right, well, what's in it for me?
Yeah, but he works hard. He really is. He's dialed in.
That's what's up. So, couple questions that I want to go through before we jump off here, and it's more of like insights because I know some young person is going to hear this story and get inspired and want to get into the same industry you're in. But I always like to tell people about the journey to where you got to. And I like to start off by asking the question, what was your first job? Because a lot of people think like as soon as they graduate college, they're supposed to jump in to that 6-figure job because I got the degree now, but they ain't got no experience. And I'm like, yo, it don't work that way. You gotta like take an internship. You gotta work your way up, get competent, build connections and all that stuff. So what was your first job?
Yeah. So first job out of college, I was it was like a finance coordinator. It's just like unrelated to what I wanted. I was making $42,000 a year coming out of school.
You was a finance coordinator? How did a marketing person get into finance? How did that?
I was I was still in college, and so I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Like, is marketing really what you want to do? And so I was sending my resume out, and when you don't have any work experience, no one responds to anything you send out. You blast out 300 resumes, and not like 0 responses. And so then you kind of get desperate, and it's like, I'll take the first job that shows up. That's then you kind of like, why'd I go to college? Like I thought college was supposed to help me get a job. And so then this medical company reached out to me and said, you could be our finance coordinator. And so I took it, and it was an okay experience. But the whole time I'm trying to get out of it. I'm trying to I'm still searching for marketing jobs. And I finally crossed over, and I started doing email marketing. Still wasn't on top of what I wanted. I wanted to do paid ads and SEO. and just kept hustling and finally got a job right on top of what I wanted.
Right. Now, when you think about your whole entire experience to where you're at today with starting this marketing SEO business, what would you attribute as the steps that you took to get to where you're at in your career and in business? What were like the steps that you felt help you be successful?
Yeah, so I think you got to start with what makes you passionate, right? So for me, that was marketing. For someone else, it's going to be something very different. We each have our own passions in life, so you got to tap into your passion. And I think when you're very young, I think we all know what our passion is, but the world tells you that you can't be that thing for whatever reason. And I would actually say one of my passions was drawing. I really liked sketching. I draw anime when I was a child. And through many forms, the world told me, well, you can't draw anime. There's no money in it. You're going to be a starving artist. And so it actually pulled me away from that. So I would say step one is identify your passion. And then step two is really like think about what makes the brand different. And then try to create your website. Try to create a first website. If you don't have money, try to do it on your own. Go get a WordPress website. Use like a plugin, add a plugin to the website called Elementor or Divi, and create your website. And then from there, just start telling everybody about it. And I think it's best to kind of have it as like a backup plan, like in the beginning, right? Because you need money just to survive, unless you have parents that would pay for your bills. But not everyone has that opportunity. So I would almost say get your main job and then build that up in the background. And then slowly you'll start to make money off the thing in the background, which is the entrepreneurship. And then hopefully one day it surpasses the main job, and then you'll have a nice smooth transition right into entrepreneurship. That's oversimplified. Nice. That's highly oversimplified.
Yeah, but it still gives like a high level overview of what that could look like for people who like think about, okay, all right, how do I start? Where do I even start? It gives you a high level overview where you start, and then a process. Like it's not the only process, but a process, right? When you think about the mark, say it again.
Yeah, one thing to add to that is, when I listen to podcasts, I always think to myself, well, they didn't really explain like how did you make the transition? Like what was the pivotal moment that helped you make that transition from corporate into entrepreneurship? And so for me personally, this might apply to some people, but not everyone. But there were companies like a company called Marketer Hire or another company called Growth Collective. And so basically I just signed up as a marketer, and they start sending me leads. And it turns out you can actually make, over 150,000 a year by just accepting these leads. You'll take a quick interview, and anyone can do this. Anyone listening, if you're doing marketing, sign up for these two websites. And if they accept you into their network, and you take on as much work as you can make over 150,000 and be in your 20s. And so that was my transition point where I realized it's not my own business. I'm working as a consultant, but that consultant is the in-between between corporate and a true business owner. And that was a nice bridge into me being a business owner.
Wow. Thank you for that. That's definitely a major gift to a lot of people, because I think that's the hardest jump when you're going from corporate, something steady, to something that's new and unsteady, and sometimes there needs to be something that can hold you in that transition, or that allows you to have more of a safety net, right? And I think that could be a really, really, really strong safety net, or just great advice for people to have when they're thinking about making the leap or the jump, if that's where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
when you think about the future of the marketing industry, especially like when you look at people like us entering into the industry, what does the future look like? What does the future have in store for this industry, especially for more Black and brown people who want to get involved in it?
Yeah, I think there's just not enough Black and brown people that just know that this is an option, like like we were talking earlier before we start recording this, and you could be a coder. So that's like, it's not quite in marketing, but marketers work really closely with coders. And you could be a coder. You can make, $200,000 a year and be in your high 20s if you just stick with it. So I think for Black and brown folks, I think we need more education around all the options that exist out there's more than being a rapper or trying to play in sports or basketball. That's like winning the lottery. But this stuff, like like being in marketing or coding, that's not a lottery at all. Like it's very achievable, and you can live a great life, and you can take that money and invest it into houses, home real estate, stocks, and then further build your wealth, and then get generational wealth. And that's the goal of everything, right?
Yeah.
So, I think there needs to be more education around all the options for Black and brown folks.
Nice. Thank you for open our eyes in this podcast. I wish we had more time, but I don't do the Joe Rogan type of podcast. But in this short time, you've given us a great education lesson into what this world is, what it could be, some of the amazing things you're doing. To end us off, why don't you tell the people what projects you're currently working on, where can they find you, and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So we're working on lots of different projects. We got clients in the wine industry, software, professional services across all types of industries. And so you can find us at our website, twibiagency.com. And if anyone listening wants to continue the conversation or just say hi or anything like that, you can reach me on my email, bthomas@twibiagency.com. And then I'll also give you a Calendly link for your listeners to book time with me.
Nice. Awesome. I appreciate you. And don't worry, if you're driving, I'm going to put this all into the show notes and on our website so you can connect with our guy. I know I'm about to connect with him after this because there's still more stuff I need to know. I might have to sign up as a client. I don't know how much that's going to cost me, but we're going to work it out. Brenton, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming on the show today. Any last words of wisdom for the people before we sign off?
Make the jump into entrepreneurship. I promise you won't regret it. If you put the time in and just keep your head down and just work hard, I promise you the other side is greater. The first 2 years is harder than corporate, but after those 2 years and you've been working hard, it slowly becomes greater and greater and greater.
You heard it here first. Make the jump. The other side is greater. Sometimes you got to go through some things to get some things. We appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next time.